The golden light of dawn pierced through cracks in the crumbling stone walls, casting long shadows across the moss-covered floor. The ruins of the ancient castle stood as a silent witness to forgotten eras, its grandeur faded but not erased. Ivy clung to the fractured pillars, and faint carvings etched in a lost language whispered of mysteries long buried. The nameless man stirred. His body ached as though he had wandered for countless days, yet he recalled nothing of his journey. His garments were torn and dust coated his skin. Rising slowly, he surveyed his surroundings. The air was heavy with the scent of earth, yet there was an undeniable warmth carried by the morning breeze. Despite the serenity, unease prickled at the edge of his thoughts. Before him loomed a massive figure, an unmoving sentinel of stone. The statue bore the form of a divine being, its features ethereal and otherworldly, carved with intricate patterns that shimmered faintly in the light. Its eyes, carved from what seemed to be obsidian, gleamed faintly as the sunlight touched them. Then, the impossible happened. The statue shifted. Stone ground against stone as the figure's head tilted downward, and those black eyes locked onto the man. A voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the chamber, vibrating in his chest. Another one appears before me. The voice carried no warmth, only weariness and ancient authority. I had hoped the flow of your kind had ceased. Tell me, traveler, what brings you to these forsaken halls? What do you seek? Speak, lest your silence mark you as unworthy. The man staggered back but found no strength to flee. He swallowed hard, his voice a whisper. I don't know. I woke here. I remember nothing. Can you help me? I think I am lost. Who? What are you? The statue's eyes glowed faintly, its expression unchanging. I am a guardian who oversees those who travel between worlds. My duty is to judge whether you are good or evil. Should you prove evil, you will face slaughter. But if your heart is true and good, you will despair no longer and be granted a wish. Hearing the words, the nameless man felt his blood turn cold. Fear gripped his chest as the weight of the guardian's judgment settled upon him. His instincts screamed for escape, and he turned to flee, his feet pounding against the cracked stone floor. But as he reached the edge of the chamber, an invisible force stopped him. A barrier of light erupted, humming with energy. The impact sent him sprawling to the ground. Dazed, he looked back at the guardian, whose glowing eyes bore into him. You cannot leave until your judgment is passed, the guardian intoned. Do not waste your strength resisting what cannot be undone. But do not worry. The tasks are simple and nothing to fear. All you must do is prove who you are. How hard can it be? The statue's voice echoed one last time. Let us begin then. As the final word fell, the guardian's glowing eyes dimmed, and it became motionless once more, returning to its statuesque form. The barrier remained unyielding, humming faintly with energy. The nameless man stared in confusion, his breath quickening. Nothing moved. The chamber was silent, save for the faint crackle of energy from the barrier. He took a hesitant step forward, testing the invisible wall, but it did not yield. Panic stirred within him as he turned back toward the statue, now frozen and unresponsive. What? What am I supposed to do? He muttered, his voice echoing off the ancient stone. Hours passed. Boredom gnawed at him as he wandered the chamber, inspecting its cracks and shadows. The statue remained still, indifferent to his attempts to speak, frustration mixed with exhaustion until his eyes fell upon something glinting in the rubble. He knelt and unearthed a plain silver ring, its surface smooth but unmarked. Curiosity warred with apprehension as he examined it. The chamber gave no answer, and so he placed it beside the statue, unsure what to make of his discovery. Another hour passed, then another, and still the guardian did not stir. Overwhelmed, the man finally sank to the ground, curling up and surrendering to sleep. Unbeknownst to him, as he drifted off, the statue's eyes faintly glowed once more. The statue whispered, though its body remained motionless. Does this man truly have no interest in taking the ring, or even putting it on? Does he lack curiosity? Or is he attempting to deceive me? It would not be the first to try such tricks. The voice faded to silence, leaving the chamber still once more. Yet even as the guardian questioned the stranger's intentions, Doubt crept within its own ancient mind. When morning came, the nameless man stirred, his body stiff but his mind restless. The statue stood frozen, yet its presence felt heavier than before. "Oh, you're finally awake!" The statue's voice boomed suddenly, shattering the silence. "I was waiting for you to wake up. You found the ring. Congratulations." The nameless man jolted upright, startled by the sudden shift in the statue's demeanor. You can speak again?" he asked, his voice still groggy. "Of course I never stopped watching," the guardian replied, its eyes flickering to life once more. "But enough small talk. The real trial begins now. You have taken the first step by finding the ring, but the question remains, what will you do with it?" The man looked at the ring resting beside the statue. "I don't even know what this ring is," he said, his fingers hovering over it, but not daring to touch it again. "Then you are already at a disadvantage," the statue said, its voice tinged with amusement. "You cannot move forward without curiosity, yet you hesitate. Think carefully, traveler. What do you desire? Answers freedom. Or do you simply fear what might happen next?" The barrier still hummed softly behind the man, an ever-present reminder that he could not leave. Swallowing hard, he reached for the ring once more, its cool surface smooth against his fingertips. He glanced up at the statue, uncertain but resolute. "Let's see where this leads," he said, determination creeping into his voice. The guardian's eyes flared brightly. "Then let us begin anew." The young man took a steadying breath and slipped the ring onto his finger. The moment it encircled his skin, a faint hum resonated through the chamber. The barrier of light flickered and then collapsed, vanishing as if it had never been there. For a heartbeat, the man felt relief, but it was short-lived. The statue remained motionless, its eyes dim once more. Confused, the young man stepped forward, testing the edge where the barrier had stood. The space was open, yet an eerie weight lingered in the air. "What now?" he muttered, glancing nervously at the statue. He took another step forward, then froze as the obsidian eyes of the statue reignited, glowing like twin embers. "Proceed," the statue's voice rumbled, though its body remained still. "You have claimed the ring and the path is open, but tread carefully, for this is only the beginning." The young man turned his head, scanning for the opening hinted at by the statue. His eyes fell upon a break in the crumbling stone where sunlight poured through. Beyond the threshold, he saw a vast forest stretching endlessly to the horizon. The trees stood tall and ancient, their canopies weaving a green tapestry that seemed to ripple in the breeze. The forest called to him, its depths both alluring and foreboding. Taking his first cautious steps outside the ruins, he felt the earth soften beneath his feet and smelled the rich scent of moss and wood. Yet something felt off. An unseen presence lingered just beyond the edge of his senses. He pressed forward, unsure of what lay ahead. As he entered the forest, the shadows shifted, and a faint whisper seemed to echo through the trees. The guardian's blessing weighed heavily on his thoughts, but he could not shake the sense that unseen eyes were watching. Steeling himself, he moved deeper into the forest, determined to face whatever awaited him. As he wandered through the dense woodland, hunger gnawed at his stomach. He dared to eat some fruits he found along the path, their sweetness easing his hunger, though he avoided the mushrooms he encountered, unsure if they were safe. The sun dipped lower, and the shadows lengthened, pressing around him. Feeling fatigue setting in, he decided to circle back toward the ruins. On his way back, he stopped abruptly. Before him stood a creature unlike any he had ever seen, or at least any he could remember. It resembled a small bunny, but its soft fur shimmered faintly in the dim light, and four luminous blue eyes stared up at him. It limped, clearly injured, with a jagged wound along its hind leg. The man hesitated. Compassion stirred within him, but so did doubt. Could he even help this creature? And what if whatever had attacked it was nearby, hunting still? He knelt slowly, extending a cautious hand. The creature did not flinch, but watched him with a strange, trusting gaze. His fingers brushed its fur, and for a brief moment, warmth seemed to flow between them. The man's heart pounded as he considered his next move. Summoning all his strength and courage, he scooped up the small creature and began running back toward the ruins. The forest closed in around him as shadows deepened, and then he heard it. a distant howl that froze his steps. His legs trembled, his arms shook, and fear rooted him to the spot as if the forest itself held him captive. The creature glowed faintly in his arms, its warmth pushing back the wave of terror. The light seemed to anchor him, breaking his paralysis. He took a sharp breath and bolted forward, branches snapping behind him as growls and howls filled the air. The sound of heavy footsteps and snapping twigs closed in, urging him to run faster.